guys, how's it going? Welcome back and welcome to the 10 Commandments for Beginner Guitar Players. Starting with commandment number 1, get a guitar that fits you properly. There's many different sizes of guitars and electric guitars and acoustic guitars. Alright, there's also classical nylon string guitars and of course steel string guitars. And one of the things you have to realize first, with a classical guitar, I will start into this part as part of this, getting to fit you thing. When it comes to pressing on the strings, you will be pressing harder on a classical guitar. The strings are thicker, okay, and they're going to hurt your fingers a lot more than a steel string guitar will. That's actually fact, okay. And that's years of playing, and I played on a classical guitar too when I was a kid. When I started taking official lessons myself, I was on steel strings and it was a lot better, but I also had a really good, properly set up guitar. And that's the other part of getting yourself into a guitar that fits you properly. Also make sure that you buy a brand new guitar, not somebody else's used whatever shape it's in, because you don't know anything about guitars at this point, what to look for the necks, the frets, or what have you, or setup. So you really want to buy a brand new guitar from a reputable music store, but don't spend a ton of money either on a guitar, okay? Now with an electric, of course, you've got to buy the guitar and the amplifier, whereas an acoustic, you're buying just the guitar, and you get a case for it too if you're going to be carrying it around, which if you're taking lessons from a real live teacher, you will be going to your teacher's place or he or she will come to you, in which case you wouldn't really need a case right away, but you do need a guitar stand to put your guitar on too. But if your guitar doesn't fit you properly, and I've seen this happen a lot, people even come to me for lessons. I've been teaching for years, and the person shows up with a guitar that's like way too big, or it's way too small, right? And then they have to go out and buy a different guitar, because they got to have something that fits them right, or they're not going to be able to strum it properly, they're not going to be able to chord it properly. Because if you put even a child into too small of a guitar, it's like really squished up, and the kid really needs something a little bit longer, right? But you don't want something where it's too long, okay? So there's a certain amount of distance that has to be taking place here for comfort, and I'll show you a little bit of sample of that. All my guitars, of course, are full-size, adult-sized guitars. So this is my Strat, and when I'm holding my Strat, when my hand is at the furthest point of the neck, I've got a good bend in my elbow here, okay? And that's good. You want that. And I can reach everything down here, I can reach everything up here without being way out here. And I've seen kids with adult-sized guitars that should have a 3/4 size or even a child's smaller size, depending on the size of the child too. So you're really, and that's for electrics. Acoustics are no different. And there's many different sizes of acoustic guitars, and it has to be comfortable holding that guitar, because when you're sitting down with the guitar, you have to have you have to sit down, and you got to have a good posture, right? But you also have to have comfort, and you have to have a pivoting point that's also comfortable. And if the body is too small, you're kind of like an ape, okay, and that's bad. So you need that comfort part as well, right? And acoustics, thicker bodies, thinner bodies, it's all different. So you should be, when you go to the music store to buy your guitar, have somebody help you to properly assist you. And if you get a good guy in the store, he'll know what he's doing, okay? Some of the staff, usually they're idiots, they don't. They're just, people who know how to play guitar. Maybe they don't and they're a keyboard player, but can I help you? And that's the way it goes. They should be giving you to somebody in the store who knows their stuff about the guitars. That's very important. Also, when buying a brand new guitar, you also need to get it set up, whether it's an acoustic or an electric. It has to be set up properly before you leave the store. And buying a brand new guitar, most stores, and I do say most music stores, okay, will be able to set that guitar up for you before you leave with it, or it may take a day or two depending on how busy the tech is, but better to wait a couple of days if you have to and have it properly set up. And what you want for a setup, especially as a beginner, is having the action as low as possible without any kind of fret buzz, because this is going to make your life so much easier to learn and to fret your notes, okay, for your chords and for whatever style of music you're doing. It's going to make it much easier if you don't have to, squeeze the hell out of the strings in order to get a proper sound out. Okay, and that's another thing too that we're going to discuss here is the sound. Okay, now this is a 0.38 millimeter pick. I don't have to put a lot of pressure on this neck. Not just because it's a Takamine. I've got a Fender guitar that's much lower end, okay? And even that one, I don't have to really put that much pressure. Okay? And I get a really good sound out of it, right? So, you don't want to have to squeeze to get your notes. Otherwise, your finger's going to hurt like hell, and you're probably going to want to quit. And a lot of people quit for that very reason alone. Too much pain. Okay, now guitar is kind of a no pain, no gain instrument to a certain point, but it should never be excruciating pain. It should just be, kind of like a mild discomfort thing, right? But it shouldn't be excruciating by any means, because that does turn off a lot of people, and especially young children that, they want to learn and they're willing to learn, okay? But if they got to press really hard on the strings, they're going to quit fast, and that's one of the biggest problems with buying used guitars. Number one, you don't know the condition that thing's really in. It could have worn out frets, it could have a buggered neck, who knows. Action could be sitting 2 miles too high, that sort of thing, and you're like, and then your kid's whining because, their fingers are starting to go red in the wrong way, okay? So you got to really consider these things when you're learning. Now, even for you adults, the same thing. Teenagers, same thing. All these same things are follow these commandments and you can't really go wrong. Next commandment, number 2, a 0.38 millimeter and a 0.46 millimeter pick. The 0.46 millimeter you can actually use for the rest of your entire playing career or fun, whatever you're doing it for. A 0.38 millimeter is a great pick to start with to learn strumming because it's very thin, it's flexible, and it's going to allow you to learn to strum with ease, okay? So with a 3/8 pick, when you're learning strumming with your teacher, okay, it's going to make it easier. So I would always teach my students with a thin pick for the strumming part, hold it out with a fair amount of stick out, okay? And then this way, you can glide up and down. Because you want to put pressure in so you get sound out, obviously, and you can cover all the strings. Now that's easy to play. Okay, now when you go to a thicker pick like the 0.46, now this is a pick that, like I said, you can use this for the rest of your entire life if you want. Alright, it's thicker, alright, than a 0.38. And it's still got some flex to it, which is good because this is going to mean you're not going to ever break strings. Okay, at least you shouldn't. Alright, I've never broken a string ever since I switched to a 0.46. So, I'm an experienced player, obviously. I make this look real easy, don't I? Of course I do. And I also hold it with less stick out too. Now, if you work with the 4/6 and you don't do the 3/8 thing and you go a lot of stick out, it's still going to be chunky for the strumming. So you want that 0.38 millimeter pick. Seriously. I'm not kidding you. It's a good thing to do that. Now, so that covers our picks. If you want to use a thicker pick, you're going to have a lot more issues with strumming. Okay, and even with the 4/6 millimeter, like if you're doing your scales, you can still do that. Playing the blues. I hardly have any stick out, okay, because for this sort of thing, and this, you don't want a lot of stick out. You want to stiffen that pick up as much as possible with still having a little bit of forgiveness, right, so you can still do it really nice. All right. Now, if you want to try that with a 38 mil, you can do it, but it's a little more sloppy because it's too flexible. So the .46, that's what you want to do. Now, like I said, initial strumming, really easy with the 3/8. Because you got to learn wrist pivoting, okay? It's very important. Music is not, playing robotic, okay? It's being able to have some style in what you're doing, right? And feeling and soul, right? It's all part of music. Now, I will use a 3/8 the very odd time. If it's a very quiet song that I want to play, then I'll use that. You can strum with your fingers too if you want, but I don't. I finger pick, but I don't actually strum with my thumb and my fingers because that's just not my style of doing things. So that covers our picks. Get a tuner and always tune your guitar before you play. Why? Because your guitar is not going to stay in tune just sitting on the shelf, on the rack, or hanging from the wall. It's not going to stay in tune sitting in your case. Humidity and temperature affects your guitars all the time because these things are made out of wood, okay? And wood shifts and it swells and expands. It expands and contracts a lot with temperature changes and so on. Okay, so your guitar is never going to stay in perfect tune. There's no such thing in this world, no matter what any other person in this entire world tells you. A guitar, it is impossible for it to stay in perfect tune all the time. It cannot and does not ever happen. Okay? Even leaving my guitars, any of these guitars, sitting for an hour after I've played with them, okay, I'll check the tuning. Yeah, it still seems to be in tune. Put it on the rack, go watch a movie, whatever, come back, check my guitar. I got at least 1 or 2 strings that are probably going to be out. If I let it sit overnight, I've definitely got at least 3 that are going to probably be out at least, and the other ones are going to be kind of like marginal, but not that much. Okay, and being that in my situation in my house, this is actually the hottest room in the house, and I have in-floor heating, and so I actually never leave my door shut when I'm not in here. I only shut it when I am in here, and then this way the rest of the heat can escape and get the hell out of here. So if you have a room that's really hot, don't ever close your guitars in on a really hot room, right? Because that's bad for your guitars. Let that heat get out, okay? So, tuning your guitar, a tuner. Buy any tuner you want. This is like a cheap $15 Ibanez tuner. I think it's about 10 or 15 bucks. And, it runs off a little coin battery, and you can replace those batteries, pack of 3 at the dollar store for $1. And you'll probably put a new battery in here like maybe once a year, once every 2 years, But they are good little tuners, and they work for acoustics and electrics. You can probably tune a ukulele, I think, with this thing too. Every tuner has different features. Some of them are just for 6-string guitars. But anyways, so get a cheap tuner. That's all you need. Any cheap tuner, I don't care who makes it and from what country, they'll tune your guitar. Okay. So make sure it's properly tuned. And that goes back up to number 1 of getting a guitar that fits you and getting it set up right. When you buy an electric guitar, the intonation has to be set up properly, along with neck height and string height and everything else. And because if you start monkeying with your saddles yourself, you'll throw your intonation out. And yeah, you can say the string is in tune. The tuner will say that, but you're really not playing in tune, which is another reason why you don't go in your used guitars, especially right away when you're just learning, because you would have to pay for a setup fee on a used guitar. You may have to pay to have the frets dressed or some of them replaced. This is why you buy a brand new guitar and save yourself a bundle of cash. Okay. Now, the other thing is get yourself a good teacher, a real live human being. Okay. Now, I do have lessons on my channel. I do participate in this. All right, because some people would like to learn on YouTube. Okay. The problem with even me teaching on YouTube, and all teachers have the same thing, we can't see you. Okay, we really can't. So we can't say your curvature is wrong, you're not pressing hard enough, or you're pressing too hard. Okay, most guitars made nowadays, even the cheapest ones out there, usually have a medium jumbo fret now. Now, stay away from guitars with brass frets, by the way. You'll regret it if you do buy one. Buy one with, good frets, not brass. But they're made with medium jumbo frets now, which actually don't look much thicker actually than the original Skinny Minis. And those kind of frets you want to stay away from if you can. Skinny Mini frets don't last as long, and you do have to push harder on those. Whereas a medium jumbo fret or a jumbo fret, you barely have to put any pressure on in comparison. So let's take a look at my Fender acoustic here. Now this thing is, it's far inferior to my Takamine, but it does have medium jumbo frets. The action is set up really low on this thing, and so I don't have to press very hard at all. Now, even though I have callus on my fingertips, if I didn't even have callus, I would still be putting pretty much about the equal pressure here. So this also allows you, if you can get into the habit of not going, okay, you can play for hours. I can actually, with callus or no callus on a well set up guitar, even with no callus on my fingers, I could sit here and play for 2 hours a day, right, before it'll start to get discomfort. With the callus on my fingers, as long as my eyeballs can stay open and I can do this, I can play, okay, straight through. The other advantage is your frets will take forever to wear out if you have a medium fret jumbo, like a medium jumbo fret on your guitar, okay, or medium frets, some companies call them, all right. The frets will last for a long, long, long time, okay, which is good. But that only provides too is that you squeeze the neck accordingly, okay, which brings us down to commandment number 5. Do not do the Vulcan death grip, which is squeezing too hard. Now, this is a normal squeeze. Now, I'm gonna strum down and push in at the same time. Okay. Listen to the pitch change. Okay, normal. I push in, I bring the pitch up. I'm playing out of tune because I'm squeezing too hard on the neck. Okay? Squeezing too hard, it's going to actually damage your frets sooner. Okay? Frets eventually wear out someday, right? But you want to make them last as long as possible. But if you do this Vulcan death grip thing, you're going to tear into frets pretty quick. Well, not super fast, but you know what I'm saying. And you're always going to be playing out of tune. I would rather play in tune. Every string is in tune. I want to play in tune, and I want it to sound properly. And when you're bringing the pitch up, it does affect your singing voice too. So, you have to squeeze with the appropriate amount of pressure. And that is a habit that you have to learn to develop, okay, is to squeeze the neck accordingly and properly. Thin fretted guitars, you will have to squeeze them harder, and it will hurt your fingers more. So try and go after an inexpensive guitar that has a medium or medium jumbo fret, and you're good, all right? Now, practice time, commandment number 6. All my students, okay, I always tell them, and I tell you people the same thing. Minimum of 10 minutes per day, every single day. Guitar is discipline. It's consistency. If you want to get better, and you want to get better quicker, you've got to put in the time. And there's not one person on this planet alive that does not have 10 minutes a day, every single day, to practice their guitar, okay? To me, 10 minutes, you've got that 10 minutes, period. You will find the 10 minutes before bed, when you first wake up in the morning, when you get home from school, if you're, a student, okay, whatever. If you are an adult and you're working, after work, well, your wife's cooking supper, or if you don't have a wife and it's just you, well, at some point during the evening, take 10 minutes out because you're going to be watching TV afterwards. Instead of watching TV right away, go practice for 10 minutes. That's it. That's all I even ask of my students. 10 minutes a day every day, which also will help you build up your callus slower, a little bit slower, but a lot less chance of going, oh, that hurts so much. okay, you're going to have mild discomfort instead of excruciating pain. And you do that for a couple of weeks, okay, 10 minutes a day, every day for a couple of weeks straight, like 3 weeks. And once you've done that, then no problem. Then you can go longer time, okay? Commandment number 7, okay? Start simple. Playing the blues is actually a good way to start. I think so. That's the way I was taught, and it teaches you some basic rhythm right away. You're going to learn a lot of down strumming. This is where you're also going to use your .46 millimeter pick. So you're going to learn something like this sort of a routine. Now you're plucking the string above and then the one below, which is actually the fretted notes. Okay? And later on you'll learn something like this. Okay, and then you'll learn something like this. Once you have learned what those are in each version of those, and you've mastered them, you are more than ready to go into handling chords at that point and starting to learn some strumming. Alright? So, but this is going to build you up some coordination. It's going to help you stretch your fingers ahead of time too, because some chords require some stretching. Okay? And you're going to want to learn those habits ahead of time for the stretching and stuff, so you do it correctly. Okay? And this builds really good habits. It also helps build the curvature, so when you start doing chords, you already have a natural curvature ability, okay, which is going to be already built into you. So you're learning the good habits right away by learning those blues songs there. Okay, number 8. Record yourself is a suggestion, not a must to, but you could take it as a must. Record yourself while you're practicing, and then play it back and see where your mistakes were, because you're not always paying attention when you're playing anyway. So if you record yourself, which is a good habit to get into, then you can play it back, see where your mistakes were, correct your mistakes that way. Number 9, take it slow and then build things. So when you're even learning that blues stuff, take it really slow and build your speed up over time, and you're good. And number 10, and the highest commandment of them all, have fun. Any questions? Feel free to ask. I'll do the best I can to answer them. And I do answer my videos rather quickly, so that's a good bonus. And thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.